Good morning, everybody. Hope all of our attendees are having a good day today. My name is Matthew Edmond. I'm Assistant Director of Transportation and Long Range Planning here at the Montgomery County Planning Commission. And Mr. Popek, whose first name is also Matthew, is our Transportation Planning Assistant Manager. So we wanted to have this webinar here because we've made a couple of changes to the program this year that are important. And we wanted to be able to have more of a direct opportunity to communicate what those changes are to potential applicants and also be able to answer questions. And so that's the purpose of today's webinar. We have 13 attendees, and if the number stays relatively modest, our goal for the end of this will be to let you all into this room here, and we can see each other and we can talk one-to-one. But for now, because we have a presentation that goes over the changes, we like to keep it in this type of webinar format just for now. So with that, I will hand it over to Mr. Popek to go through our mini presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Edmond. And if you have any items to add at any point, you are certainly welcome to do so. Here's what we're going to run through with this particular webinar to everyone. First, a reminder, and for those that may not be familiar with it, as it is year 6 and we still have the occasional municipality that is not familiar, just what is the CTP grant program in the first place? We'll go through quickly what it has accomplished over its first 5 years of program and project awards, which program guidelines have changed this year. This is the meat of the presentation, and we'll spend a significant amount of time going through that specifically. And then, of course, what comes next as we move into the open application period. So first, what is the program? As a reminder, County Transportation Program is a competitive grant program for all 62 Montgomery County municipalities to improve their locally owned transportation infrastructure. It utilizes $5 vehicle registration revenues and comes from a line item out of the county's capital budget. Our main goals that we have expressed in every year of the program since we got started back in 2018 is to equitably distribute the registration revenue to as many municipalities and projects as we can. As a reminder, there are 21 out of the 62 municipalities that do not own any county bridges or roadways, and therefore it would be harder for this particular registration revenue to go to those municipalities and the residents of those municipalities without this program. Which is why we're trying to fund these projects throughout the county and increase overall transportation investment while still trying to meet the goals of our current county comprehensive plan, Monco 2040, a shared vision. What have we accomplished so far? Well, we're up to 42 total projects that have been awarded across the 5 completed years of the program. 18 of these projects, according to our paperwork at least, have been completed, with another 5 under construction. You see here the map of different projects. We have symbols representing both the years in which the projects were awarded and the different types of projects. And the ones with the green circles around them are the ones that we have on our paperwork as completed. If this is not matching what you particularly know of a particular project, please feel free to get in touch with me after the webinar, and we will make sure that the appropriate paperwork has been submitted to the county and hopefully then submitted to PennDOT for eventual approval of the reimbursement of the grant funding. As a reminder of some of the projects that have been completed around the county, and a mention of the categories of projects that we have seen in the past get funded. Year 1, the county partnered with the PennDOT Green Light Go grant program in order to match with 17 different projects for signal upgrades around the county. You see here pictures of 2 of the intersections in Worcester along 363, as well as Whitpain's Route 73 signal upgrades projects. In year 2, we transitioned to a program layout that is a lot more like we have today, where many different projects are eligible under what is generally liquid fuels guidelines. So year 2's completed projects include the pedestrian crossing of Main Street at 7th and Royersford, as well as intersection improvements to the Flowertown and Joshua Road intersection in White Marsh. Year three, which were the awards awarded in 2020, many of these projects are still going through the construction process, but we do have at least 2 that have already been completed, including the Pruss Hill Road Bridge Replacement Project in Lower Pottsgrove and stormwater bump outs along Windsor and Essex Avenues in Narberth. So, what to know about year 6? A lot of the details are remaining the same for the overall program as they have in past years. We once again have $1 million from the county's capital budget, as mentioned earlier. Municipal applicants are the only entities that are eligible, though we are still open to seeing any public-private partnerships that may come out of the project development process. We are only able to fund construction for this grant. We've been asked in the past about whether design or engineering funds are available, as well as things like construction, inspection, and management. Based on the rules for the liquid fuels and fee for local use provisions from the state, this is the only item that we are able to pay is direct invoices to contractors for construction on these sorts of grants. Our maximum award will remain at $500,000, but the local match is set up to in general, promote more county participation on smaller projects. The local match is required to be at least 20% for the first $200,000 of county transportation program funding that is provided. And then the municipality and the county would share 50-50 for anything above $200,000 in county funds up to a total of $500,000, making the largest project that is able to receive the highest amount of county match $850,000. What is different this year? If all the details are largely staying the same, we do want to go into a little bit more information. That's why you're all here, about what has changed and what we are trying to focus on from a different standpoint for the county. Firstly, eligibility. We will be focusing more on roads, bridges, and signals, and I will get into much greater detail about that in just one moment. The scoring considerations have changed a little bit, where we are now explicitly including equity into project impact, and we'll see how the scoring criteria have shifted once we go through the eligibility rules. And all of this is leading towards our goal to hopefully award larger grants, even if it may be going to fewer projects, but we're looking for a greater impact on the overall traveling and mobility of county residents, employees, and visitors. So let's dive in specifically to some of the changes that are found in the guidebook for eligibility. And as a reminder, the guidebook is currently up and published on the County Transportation Program's website, which is at montcopa.org/county transportation program. On these next few slides, we will have colorization for previous language versus new language in this year's guidebook. Anything that you see in green, especially in the new language areas, is new language itself. Yellow and pink and gray are items that have been edited or modified, and we'll go through each of them specifically. So for the first one, the main way that County Transportation Program funding can be used is for roadway construction. A lot of the issues and items under this basically are remaining the same. Construction, reconstruction of public roadways, streets, and alleys for which the county or municipality is legally responsible are still eligible for this program this year. We are taking resurfacing and clarifying it a little bit more, which we will get into in a moment. We are removing specifically repair for public roads. We are attempting to say, therefore, with the new language, that new construction or full depth reconstruction for road, streets, and alleys, as well as new construction, complete reconstruction, or rehabilitation of the bridges, culverts, and drainage structures for a county and municipality's responsibility is what we're looking for, really to go after those larger projects. We've had a couple of applications come in over the years where a municipality wants to do a little bit of patching or minor repairs of a street somewhere. We're trying to get after the fact that we have a limited amount of funding for this program, and if we're going to repave, reconstruct, rehabilitate a roadway or a bridge, it needs to have enough impact to matter and really truly be useful spending of county-wide dollars. This is the paragraph on control systems and signals. Most of this has remained the same. We are clarifying that acquisition, as it was in the previous guidebook, should in fact be purchase. So the new language would be purchase, erection, replacement, repair, and upgrades of traffic signal control systems at intersections or railroad crossings. We are taking out, just for clarity's sake, traffic signal operation for funding from the CTP, as well as purchasing of street name signs. I don't believe anybody from any municipality actually tried to take us up on that, and we're just taking it out to make it simpler. We previously did allow for lane and crosswalk painting and marking, including bicycle lanes, to be an eligible category. We are trying to clarify this year to really get after some of the improvements that we are encouraging municipalities to make as part of our overall Bike Monco efforts. So the new language in the guidebook is supporting projects to get funded through the CTP that are including roadway, milling, and overlaying, if it includes bicycle lane painting, as well as crosswalk painting and marking. We would love to see more bike lanes installed. We are working with our transportation management associations in a couple of different municipalities around the county on a bike more, drive less project to encourage municipalities to install bicycle facilities on their own. We would certainly love to see some of the funding for that happening out of this county transportation program, or any other ideas that municipalities have had about installing safe and usable bicycle infrastructure on their own municipally owned roadways. The provision for installing curb ramps providing access for individuals with disabilities. We've awarded a couple of these projects in the past. We are deciding this year to make this still a permitted possibility for a project, but it has to be part of a larger project that includes one of the previous items that we mentioned regarding roadway overlays, roadway reconstructions, or traffic signal purchases. We've seen curb ramps just as their own standalone project be proposed before, and we certainly appreciate that as a project and understand the importance of installing these sorts of accessibility provisions and meeting the ADA Act standards. We just want to make sure that this is part of a larger transportation network and system focused project. The previous language regarding construction of portions of pedestrian trails located within the publicly owned right-of-way probably gave us the most trouble over the years, as various municipalities would try to submit for projects like this. And we would always get a lot of pushback from PennDOT about whether a specific item was in the right-of-way or not. So unfortunately, we are making this particular piece no longer eligible for funding as part of the CTP in year 6. We're trying to really focus on the roadway signal side of things. We certainly encourage any municipalities that have pedestrian trail ideas to continue to seek other grant funding, whether it is the just recently closed Monco 2040 grant from the county, possibly some of the regional or state grants that will be opening later this year. There are many different ways to attempt to get funding for these sorts of projects. We're just trying to simplify and clarify and not run afoul of anything from PennDOT. So we are making this no longer eligible for year 6 of the CTP. Finally, some of the larger project pieces that were involved in the previous language, we are not changing many of these. They are still permitted as part of a larger project, and that includes street lighting, bridge interchange lighting, any grade adjustments that have to take place as part of a driveway, any brush removal that might be done in and around an intersection, as well as curb installation, part of a drainage system. All of these are still useful projects. All of these can be done as a construction cost highlighted by a contractor. They just need to be part of a larger proposal and idea for a project. Now on to the scoring. As you see, the previous scoring listing out on the left had project impact at 35% and a separate category for focus areas at 10%. We saw mixed success over the 5 years of grading these individual projects, with municipalities trying to pursue focus areas. So instead, following some directives that we've received from senior staff at Montgomery County, we are taking the focus area 10% and putting it into the new scoring category in with project impact. So the new project impact and equity scoring category will be worth 45% of the overall grades for these projects. Planning consistency with local and county and regional plans remains 25%, readiness remains 20%, and funding remains 10%. And the scoring description that is listed in the guidebook largely stays the same from a impact standpoint. We have added the text included in green here. Explain how installing this project would make the community it serves better, especially for historically underserved and disadvantaged populations. We understand that this can be tricky in certain parts of the county, especially in areas that have lower indicators of potential disadvantage values. We just really ask, as the applications are coming in, to be honest with us and upfront, and do your best to explain how these sorts of impacts, especially to equity, are realized by helping to install this project. So what comes next? We're having our webinar today, and as I mentioned, the guidebook is now posted at County Transportation Program website for montcopa.org. The application period will remain the same as it is the last couple of years, basically June and July. The application deadline is then July 28th. I'm sorry, that should be July 28th. It's the last Friday in July. July 29th is a Saturday. So July 28th will be the deadline for the application period. After the applications are all submitted, a group of county staff from various departments, including the Planning Commission, Assets and Infrastructure, Commerce, as well as appointed members of various county boards, including the Planning Commission and Transportation Authority, all gather together to score the projects, debate the merits, and ultimately recommend selections that are then awarded by our commissioners in October. So once again, this should be July 28th that this period will be closed, which is the last Friday in July. I believe I've mentioned everything that I wanted to. I will turn it over to Matt at this point now to just, if there's anything else from his standpoint to add about the program before we open it up to questions and answers from the group.
Thank you, Matt. I don't have anything to add. I think Matt covered everything very well. At this point, I'm going to pull all of you attendees into the panelist side of things so we can all see each other. And Matt and I would be happy to answer any questions that anybody might have. So give me a moment here to click on everyone individually and send you over. Okay, so I'm going to do that. And then Matt, when we're all here, I'll let you know. And then you can start the Q&A. It looks like we still have 6 or so attendees that are waiting for them to jump over. And feel free, everyone, if you want, you can turn on your cameras. You don't have to. Maybe you're having one of those days, but you're welcome to do so if you want us to see you and to talk to you like that. Okay,
one of those days has become almost every day, Matt.
Good to see you, Christine.
Likewise.
All right, we have 2 people that are still on the attendee side, Tony Hamaday and Katie Lewis. So they have their invitations to join us on the panelist side. They can accept them whenever they're ready. And so, Matt, I'll kick it over to you. And if you want, you can open up for Q&A.
Thanks. I don't know if there's anything else to add, but it's great to see all of you, and we're happy to take the next few minutes to answer any questions that might be lingering post webinar. Go ahead, Stephanie.
I'm just curious, are you entertaining pre-app project meetings with the municipalities and say their engineers to discuss some of the specific project details?
We have done that in the past, and I imagine we will continue to do that. We haven't officially set up any times or slots for people to necessarily come in, but if there is interest in having a discussion between municipalities and their engineers and the transportation planning staff here at the Planning Commission, feel free to let me know. My email address now just got a lot longer, but I will put it in the chat. It is matthew.popek@montgomerycountypa.gov. It's a mouthful, but that is where we're at. I will also type it in so everybody can copy it just in case.
I guess more so just in case there's some specific details for projects that, you know, might be better coordinated, I'll say, if it would help the application.
Of course, I think we see it for our particular program as always helpful to attempt to get the best applications that we can present to our overall steering and selection committee.
Yeah, and for those who may be new to this program, we're working with the Planning Commission on these types of grants. We're always happy to sit down with municipal officials and engineers and, you know, hear what your thoughts are. We'll give you guys feedback and honest feedback. We've been doing this now for 6 years. We kind of know what our selection committee thinks, what they like, what they don't like. And so we're always available to help you narrow and tailor your application to things that we feel might have a better chance of success. We won't read over your application, so don't send anything written for us to review, because we will eventually at some point review them ourselves. We don't want to give anyone an advantage, but we're happy just having an informal conversation about what you're thinking about, you know, where your project limits are, and we'll tell you what we think works best and what doesn't. We can also flag things that might be ineligible, because remember, this money comes from the same requirements as liquid fuels. And that's something that I don't know, Matt kind of touched on a little bit, but that has tripped us up in trying to get money to municipalities at the end of the day. Tim Greco at PennDOT has to review everything and sign off on the disbursement of funds. So it's important that we make sure that we all work together to ensure that you don't have something ineligible here, because you will have spent a lot of time on something that won't go very far.
And I have one other question. You highlighted the language changes, I guess, for like on-road bike lanes and whatnot. And it included the resurfacing and maybe I should read the guidelines, but is simply restriping for on-road bike lanes not eligible or still eligible, but the resurfacing part was also added language? I guess, can you just speak to that clarification?
Sure. The specific language is roadway milling and overlay that includes bicycle lane and crosswalk painting and marking is eligible. We're looking to really say, if you're going to add a bicycle lane, make sure it is done fully and completely correct in terms of turning a roadway over. That's a lot of where we have tried to make the case to our municipalities to include bicycle lanes while they are doing their own milling and overlay operations. So we're kind of attempting to be congruent with those overall efforts.
And I guess maybe my question more so is, if the township has roadways that are in good pavement, the pavement is in good condition, there's no extraneous striping per se on those roadways, they're of significant width, but could include additional striping and legends for on-road bike lanes without the mill and overlay aspect. Is that eligible or is that not eligible?
Yeah, I'll jump in, Matt. So Stephanie, yes, it's eligible. That clause is really meant to prevent one thing, and that's applications for straight up resurfacing. One of the reasons why we made some of these changes is after 5 years, like I said, we know what our selection committee likes and doesn't like. And after 5 years of the occasional application to repave a road and nothing else, we know that our selection committee doesn't like that. They see it as a maintenance thing. that just like, other programs, right? They're capital grants, but sometimes an applicant comes in for what is considered maintenance. And we've looked at, by we, I mean our selection committee has looked at repaving as simply being maintenance. So we don't want to waste anyone's time. We want to be very clear about that. So that's why the language says what it is. But if you're going to add bike lanes, you're going to do it one of two ways. You're either going to repave your road so that you have a fresh template to work with, or you have plenty of width and you're just going to put down lines that aren't there now. And so, in both of those cases, that's where we'd want to see bike lanes come in. And we do want to see bike lanes come in. So especially if you're a smaller municipality and you're struggling with this idea of, this program now wants bigger projects, that's more match money, that's tougher for my borough or township to do. Bike lanes on municipally owned streets are a low cost option for everybody. And, that might be something that you want to do. You just can't come in and say, hey, we want to repave Elm Street here and nothing else. We're going to be asking you to do more than that. And that's what this language does about bike lanes.
Thank you. Thanks for the clarification.
Other questions from attendees? If not, you can always reach us by email.
Will you still receive emails from your old email address? For a period of
The
time?
old email address still works for a undetermined amount of time, but that is our official emails these days.
Great. I know how that goes.
And Matt, I assume that you'll update that July 28th in the PowerPoint, and then we'll be able to get a copy of the recording today if need be to share with our professionals.
Yes,
If that's
yes, we can do
possible.
that.
Okay. I find it helpful sometimes. I came in a little late, and then when we're sharing with our engineers or other professionals, it's nice to have this. If you're able to share that, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, Christine, we've talked internally about putting it up on the CTP website.
That would
So,
be fine.
yeah, my guess is we'll do that. I just, while we're all here, I just want to introduce you guys to Andrew Turner. Andrew, I don't know where he is on your screen. He's in the lower left of mine. Andrew is part of our transportation team. Myself, Matt Popek, Lorene Sendelgrand, and Andrew. So Andrew's been helping us more and more over time on the county transportation program, and just wanted you guys to put a name and face to him.
Hello.
Welcome.
All right, well, you guys know where to find us. Like we said, we'll try to put the video up on the website. The guidebook is up there as well. We encourage everyone to take a look at it. As Matt has said, we built in basically 4 months worth of space, 2 months of like a heads up, 2 months of open application to give you all plenty of time to talk to your municipal officials, your engineers, anyone else you need to try to figure out what projects you might want to do. We understand that can be tough when someone just throws a grant program open and there's a short turnaround time. We want to avoid that every year for you guys. So hopefully that gives you enough time to kind of brainstorm and prep and apply. But if you have any questions or any concerns, feel free to reach out to us. You'll find everything you need on the website, but we can also help you besides that too. Okay. All right.
Thank
We're
you
grateful
very
for your
much.
time today. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank you all for
Take
attending.
care. Bye-bye.